All right, hello and welcome to the TESOL International Conference and to this session entitled Utilizing Online Exchanges to Enhance Experiential Learning and Intercultural Competences. I am very happy to hand it over to the presenters, Gordon, Daniel, and Stephen. Take it away.
Okay, welcome. I'm Gordon Carlson. People just call me Gordy. I'm here in Hyogo Prefecture, Japan, and it's my honor to be working with Dr. Daniel Markarian and Dr. Stephen Hecht, who are not only my partners in crime, but my mentors. And let's see, would you like to say a quick hello? I know Steve's here.
Hey there. Here's my quick hello. I'm talking to you all from South Florida in USA, and I'm happy to be here.
Amazing. Okay. And Dan's not here yet, but I'm happy to say, exactly a year ago, we did a similar presentation on this, but we were still in development, and we have come a long way since then. And we have some exciting data to share with you and much more today. So we hope that we can give you a few good ideas for collaborating with other people overseas. And we're going to give a few opportunities for you all to respond during the presentation. So please stick around so that you can take part, okay? So as you know, cultural dimension education continues to gain traction in educational circles worldwide. And whether you are a language teacher in Japan or Korea or an economics teacher in the US, you're expected more than ever to incorporate intercultural competence into your teaching. And that's why our project embarked on a 10-week exchange between a Japanese university in a content-based learning course. Their English levels were upper intermediate to advanced. The average age was just a little under 20. And we had a big group in America of high school students. The average age was just shy of 18, so about a year and a half difference between ages. And we use internet-based mechanisms such as online polls, video editing tools, and a final webinar where learners from both sides use English as a medium to make videos and make them in creative ways. Now, when I say we made videos, I'm not talking about the popular platforms such as Flipgrid or Telegram or Connect, which a lot of students use to connect overseas, but ours was more of an organic, homegrown thing where we made videos and all in groups. So we actually made a product to share. And here's our basic outline. I'm going to start with the rationale and hopefully hand it off to my colleagues as soon as they get here. So let's move on. First, we start out with a need. Now, as you might guess, there are limited opportunities for learner and outer circle communities such as Korea and Japan to interact with people from other cultures. And often young people in the US have not ventured out very far themselves. And unfortunately, all too often, TV, YouTube, media, TikTok, etc., are the only exposure that they have to different segments of society. And unfortunately, that results in misconceptions and skewed images of people from other origins. And that's why we designed an opportunity to develop cultural awareness through direct cross-cultural communication using economics and financial literacy skills. Now, that sounds a little strange, but we'll try and explain that a little more later. But I'd like to get you involved at this point, and I'd like you to use a chat bar. And can you share a recent example of cultural competence that you experienced or incompetence, and why is it important? Or not and, or why is it important? Why is cultural competence important? And if you can just send your response in the chat bar, and I have this little moon up here, it's actually a timer. Go ahead and type in your responses and then press send, and we'll try and review them, okay? So I'll play a little music here, little authentic Japanese music, as you think of your answers. And you don't need any zingers, just feel free to just type a quick answer.
Sorry if I missed it. Could you give an example? I'm a bit...
Cultural competence, like understanding other cultures, having respect for cultures that are different than your own, being able to communicate with people of different origins.
Got it.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead and send your responses. And Looks like we're getting a few here. And then maybe Dan, would you be able to?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, we got one from Anna already. From Tim. Okay, so to avoid misunderstandings.
Nice.
That's so true. I have a million examples. I could talk about that one all day.
And Tim mentioned about differential. Definitely the give and take in the activities for sure. All right, we might have a few more folks just typing their response in. Don't be shy. All right, well, we have another one of these questions coming up, so you'll have a second chance. All right, thank you very much, Gordy. So effective cross-cultural communication was our key goal here. So you'll see that we were trying to promote these interactions, meaningful interactions, developing reciprocal communication, and facilitating knowledge co-construction. Take a look at the next slide, Gordy. So these were our areas, our biggest challenges and limitations, besides working across about a 9,000-mile gap. Thanks, Gordy. And these were the three categories that we focused on for our surveys. Our first one, communication. Here's some examples of the survey questions we gave. So you'll notice the scale on these is going to change just a little bit. And let's show them the second one, interests. So, and of course, it's the opposite. So the Japanese students interested in American music, animation, history, and culture, and the Japanese students in reverse. And the third one was stereotypes. So this was kind of interesting. Steve's going to go over the results of this in a bit, but this is the area we're focusing on, whether they felt that their counterparts would be outgoing, could express themselves freely, and have a good sense of humor. Beautiful. Okay. And I think this is
I'll take over from here for just a minute.
Thanks, Gordy.
Let me give you all a brief rundown of our exchange activities. Now, here I'd like to get you involved one more time and give you another chance to type in the chat and get involved. So can you list 2 benefits a student in different cultures exchanging videos with each other? Can you come up with any kind of response? I'll give you another minute to type in the chat, and please press send as soon as you're done. And we're totally happy to go over as many as we can.
Okay, we got 2 folks in the chat bar. Thank you very much. If you could just wait until the time elapses and then push send, but that's okay. We're glad to have everybody's participation.
Absolutely.
All right, hopefully we get another comment from Tim and Anna. Come on, Anita. E-Park, I see you out there. Garth, come on, throw a couple words together. Just give a thought. 2 benefits of students working together. All right, we got one mention from Paul. Thank you very much. And I'm not sure if that, here it goes. Okay, Tim mentions about seeing their counterparts' environment easier than describing it. Absolutely. And real language for real communication. Thank you, Anita. E-Park mentions broadening cultural perspectives. Awesome. Yes, Paul, it was a lot of fun. And we're still enjoying those even after the fact. Garth mentions exposure to different lifestyles and perspectives. Yeah, there you go. And building international bridges. I like that. If you don't mind, Garth, I'd like to use that one. And communication and critical thinking. Awesome job. And Bill mentions learning with purpose. Anita posted again, gaining understanding of another culture. Awesome. Okay, fantastic. Let's take a look at slide 13, Gordy.
Okay, now we're rolling.
Yeah, thanks very much. And pictures that you see in the bottom side, those were slides that Gordy made from our students' presentations, their videos that they made. So some of the literature that we were looking at was the benefits of cross-cultural learning. And we wanted to make sure that it was safely monitored. When we were requesting our IRB, that was a request from our side to make sure that we were going to monitor this activity. And our goal was trying to erase or get rid of these inaccurate stereotypes. And if we could, gain student motivation, help them, I think as Garth had mentioned, learning more about the world. And here's our expectations of the videos. I think this one is still me. All right, so expectations of videos. At first, Gordy had a little bit of a harder time with his Japanese counterparts than I did with my American side. My students were more open with taking videos of themselves, but that's okay. We created these teams. They made 2 to 3 minute videos based on the state standards you're about to see, and they were focused on these 4 categories. So we had a 4-week project total. We had approximately 4 30-minute blocks. We were building teams in multiple activities, and they were asked to create storyboards for their videos. So these are our state standards. So in the state of Florida, like many states in the US, you have to follow these state standards. In order for our project to get approved, we had to show that we were teaching these state standards. So these are the ones for economics. And you'll notice on there that there were some international descriptions that we focused on, and these were the ones for financial literacy, and these were the students were more common to use these 3. Beautiful.
Excellent.
Right.
Thank you, Dan. So
Yes,
we had some steps involved in the video productions. Students made storyboards, which are graphic representations of how videos will unfold. So they're like shot by shot. So imagine kind of like a cartoon strip. Or B, after the storyboards were teacher approved, students worked outside of class to shoot and edit their videos, and that was mostly done on their smartphones. C, we screen for any possible inappropriate materials. We don't want to cause any damage throughout the project. We don't want people, twerking on videos, right? And then D, students rated their counterparts' videos before our final webinar, where we gave each other some direct feedback. And it was really fun to see them recognize each other in the webinar. It was like, oh, that's Ken from that video where he had the dance moves. That was Man eating the snacks. Oh, those were the guys throwing the hubcaps at the gas station. It was pretty fun. It was a lot of fun. And of course, we did give some evaluation before our webinar. Teachers chose the top 10 videos and put them up for ratings and evaluation as depicted here in this picture below. And this was a fun time to watch our students react to what was made for them on the other side of the ocean. And there's a lot of creativity and humor involved. Some students acted out skits, others did tours of their part-time jobs, others showed public transportation, etc. And it was really fun to see what their storyboards finally evolved into. But that's what we did outside of class. But back in the class, we worked with these sensory activities. And these are the 5 activities that we did. And I'd like to spend just 1 minute explaining number 1, making a boro. Now, in the old days, this word derived from the Japanese term boro, meaning something tattered or repaired. And the term boro typically refers to like cotton or linen materials, mostly woven by hand by peasant farmers. And they'd make that clothing into make it into practical clothing, if you will. So imagine it as kind of a quilt. And so we used our own hands and needles and everything to make this. And this represented the concept of reuse, recycling, and being thrifty. And that fit in well with an economics class. So anyway, we took scraps of cloths from our own home, pieces that had some kind of personal history, and made a boro over here in Japan. And then we sent our boro over to the US, which they made over there. And the final result was joining the 2 together. And this picture here, it's not quite done, but this piece is still up in the William Dwyer High School over in the US. So Dan, can you take over and explain some of the other activities?
Yes, sir. But if you could go back to that picture just a second so they could get a perspective. So the center of that is 14 students made that center picture, the centerpiece, and then they sent that from Japan to America. And then my students saw that and they're like, oh, that's what we do. And then they started going to town on the other parts. So there's about 160 students work surrounding the 14 original Japanese students. So
Right. It's not really complete here at all either.
right,
So.
there's another teacher's bureau attached to that to go with that. All right, so tasting activities. So like I mentioned before, we were trying to focus on just a couple of areas, and one of them that we thought would stimulate the students' responses was taste buds, and we were right. So you'll see pictures there. They had green tea, they also had ramen noodles, and then they had haichus. So we were trying to go for a little difference in the activity. This is the fastest chopsticks in town activity, where they had to move beans from one bowl to another bowl with chopsticks as quickly as possible. And that was a lot of fun for the kids. And the next one, they also listen to music. So they had a really good time listening to different types of Japanese music. So we played traditional and contemporary.
Same on our side with American.
Mm-hmm. And we were also drawing, and these were the American students' drawings of Naruto and Pokemon characters. I didn't know how many there were, truthfully, when we started, but I do have an idea now, and the students really got into it. And on the Japanese side, they drew the American Marvel characters, and they really enjoyed that part too. So this was our webinar that we created, a 110-minute meeting, my students in class in the morning with Gordy's students at night in Japan at home. And let's show them the next slide. So we wanted to focus on these areas. And the second stage of this, we wanted to create these webinars, these videos, I'm sorry, that we were mentioning before. So they were focusing on demonstrating cultural similarities and differences, and it gave the kids a chance to really demonstrate themselves, you know, bring out their personalities. And then we, of course, looked at how those were presented in the project's goals. This was the webinar participants, 68 students on the American side, about 14 students on the Japanese side. It was 100 minutes altogether, and we used Google Classroom. So this was our agenda. We started off with greetings. We had a trivia game. You're going to play the trivia game in just a moment. And then we shared these financial economic literacy videos, but the buffering wasn't good on those. Then we did a brief review of the surveys, and then we went out into breakout rooms, which I think the kids really enjoyed a lot. So some different prompts. Let me see if I don't want to steal yours, Gordy. I know 32. Okay, it's 33 for Gordy. Okay, just making sure I'm respectful. So some of our prompts included here. We wanted to understand the ways that we wanted the students to list ways that they understood people from other origins, ways that cultures and economics were different and similar to each other. And from our exchange, how was our image or perception of students on the other side different?
Right. So we use these prompts in the breakout rooms, and the students actually wanted more time.
Yeah.
They really did. But speaking of time, we got to keep moving. Here's what we did for a little icebreaker when we got everyone together in the webinar. And we started with some questions about Florida. In all, we had 14 questions in all, but I'm going to give you 2. And go ahead and type your answers in the chart. Here are a couple from Florida. Go ahead and type A, B, or C. Okay, everybody? Let's get everyone in on this. Okay, so Florida has more what than any other state in America? Don't be shy. Go ahead and type A, B, C.
Don't hesitate. Just type in an answer.
Seconds left. 8, 7, 6,
1,
5.
Come on.
3.
2 people.
Letter and just throw it in there. Thank
3
you.
people. Awesome. 4. Now we're talking.
Okay, now, if the answer was D, you're correct. And this was kind of significant because Hyogo Prefecture, where we live in Japan, also has more golf courses than anywhere in Japan. So it's like, hey, okay, we have an instant connection there. Okay, here's another one for y'all. Let's get some more people. Okay, the first what was invented in Florida? 10 seconds to go. A, the refrigerator. B, the DVD. C, space rocket. Or D, computer. Okay, see a few answers coming in.
We got 6 answers on the last one. See if we can do a little better.
1. Okay, even if you're a little late, that's okay. Okay, let's see if you got 2 out of 2. The answer is the refrigerator. It makes sense, right?
Yay.
Comes from a tropical area of the world. You gotta keep things cool. Okay, here are a few examples that we had from Japan, and it's kind of funny because the Japanese students were pitted against the American students, and the Japanese students lost this one. Okay, anyway, how many writing systems are there in Japan? Go ahead and type in the chat. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, if you said 4, you're correct. A lot of Japanese students said 3, but they forgot romaji, which is like using Roman numbers for it. Okay, finally, karaoke is popular around the world. Where was it invented? Was it invented in Tokyo, Nagoya, Osaka, or Nishinomiya? Okay, since we're running out of time, I'm going to give you 5 more seconds. 4, 3. Oh, thank you for all the answers in the chat. This is
Awesome.
if
See,
you got 4
Gordon?
out of 4, if you got 4 out of 4, you get a steak dinner tonight. And the answer is Nishinomiya. That's where we're from, over in Hyogo. So we played this, and it was a great icebreaker to get things going. But let's keep moving. We got to talk about the results. And with this, I'd like to hand things over to Steve.
Okay, so for the results, the Likert scale format was used. It's one of the methods for measurement of attitudes. And so one of the primary goals of this research and activities was to help students to see things in a different way such that their attitudes change as well as their knowledge. And so attitudes was measured using one of the more common methods with the Likert scale. And so if a person disagreed with a statement, they got a score of 1. And if they agreed, they got a score of 6. And so the higher the score, the more they were culturally sensitive. And so our goal here was for them to improve or increase their scores. So for example, if you go back 1, yes, right there. So in that example there, the question is, right now I could represent my country in a positive light to someone from another land. So that was an example of a communication question. And so as you can see, the higher the score, the more the person, in this case the student, was feeling that they could do a good job of representing their country by communicating about it. So here's what we found. And so on the in the orange bars, that's the post-test. The blue bars is the pre-test. So before we had the students go through all these activities, we first measure their attitudes, and then we did so again after we were done with all the activities. And so you could see that in all of the different scales we had, and so we had 3 scales, we had improvements. So the first scale, stereotypes, that's where we measured, using different questions, their attitudes with respect to a stereotype, such as, I think that Japanese people are outgoing. And so what we did was we found, in this case here, with all the questions, we put them all together. We had a pattern of results, which actually I see the slide here is for the individual items. This was actually the results for an item, the item I just stated. So there was some improvement. So statistically, if we run the formula.
To interrupt you, you've got about a minute left.
Oh, okay. Well, given that, we'll just move on. So you can see there's improvements with communication, interest, stereotypes. So the interest question is, how interested are they? And stereotypes, I already said, as well as communication. So you can see that there's improvements. And so 6 is the highest score. We went from around a 4.5 or 4.7, we went up to around almost a 5 in every case. So there was a slight improvement. And so we are very happy with these results. It shows that we did change their attitudes a bit, and we're going to try to improve even more of their attitudes in future research that we do.
Beautiful. See, there's some of the student responses. You want to show them the next slide, Gordy? Hey.
And on the American side, students found more familiarity with the Japanese side, more than they expected. And we've had some prior exchanges in the past, but this is the first time we recorded any of this data in detail. And one thing that we seem to hear every year is, wait, they're just like us. You know, they eat, they drink, they dance, they joke around, they have part-time jobs. And, you know, that's always very eye-opening to see.
These are our lessons learned from the project. And of course, more time. And these were our outcomes. And we ask ourselves and you, did we provide meaningful interactions, reciprocal communication, and knowledge co-construction?
We did.
Our answer is yes. This was some of our literature. And we appreciate everyone's participation.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. That was really very interesting. And it's always nice to see that light go on in the students' minds when they realize people from the other side of the world are just people like the rest of us. It really builds those important connections which we need to see in the 21st century that have been lacking previously. So thank you very much for that. That was fantastic. I'm sorry that there wasn't time for questions and more discussion, but I've shared the Discord server link, and I do encourage you to please pop over there to continue this discussion.
Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, when I downloaded Discord, it messed up my computer and I had to uninstall it. So if I'm unable to join, my apologies. But you can read our proceedings, hopefully, in the upcoming publication. We have a lot more to share there, and I'm really excited about it.
Definitely.
Guys, fantastic. I often see these sessions on intercultural connections and stuff, but this was really good. And you know, I love the way you had it structured and the activities you had. Yeah, great job. And Gordy, I may get in touch with you because I'm thinking of doing an international forum with X Reading, students communicating, and I could probably learn about a bit from you on some tips. So if you don't mind.
Let's do it. I just put my address in the chat bar. If anyone wants to write to me, maybe Dan and Steve, you could do the same if you like. And I'll be happy to, you know, we'd be happy to answer any more further questions, such as how to use the moon for the timer and all, anything.
Cool. Gentlemen, I'm going to have to shut this down. I've got the next session in 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Everybody. Have a great day.
Bye, guys. Thanks.